Hey, welcome to this training. We're going to be diving into figuring out how much can you afford to pay yourself out of your business. This is going to be really great if you run an LLC, if you're taxed as an S corp, or even potentially if you tax yourself, if you're taxed as an S corp. So this is going to work really well for anyone who is doing probably 5 million a year or under in revenue. Some of our clients do all the way up to 5 to 10 million a year in revenue, and we still use a very simple basic version of this. I want to walk you through the main things you need to know to be able to figure out how much you can afford to pay yourself. My name is Will Boyd. I am the co-founder of CEO Finance Academy, along with my business partner, Alex Engar. We do financial training for small business owners. We were physical therapists originally, got into digital marketing, started an agency, got hit with a huge tax bill, had to figure out our own financial systems, focused for 2 years, building out all of our finances, took that to our marketing clients, and they came to us asking for financial help as well. So that's what we do now. And I want to get into this. There's a few things that we're going to need to do. One is you should be having some form of bookkeeping, which is going to make this process a lot easier. If you don't have a bookkeeper, I'm going to have if you don't have a bookkeeper yet and you're doing at least $10,000 a month, you can go ahead and comment bookkeeper below. We have a team that we work with who is a great bookkeeping service. We'll be able to connect you with them. So if that's something you're struggling with, just put bookkeeper in the comments and I'll be able to send a link and connect you with them. But no matter what, you should be tracking either your expenses in an Excel sheet or ideally you're able to pull those from your bank account. You should have a business checking account and at least running your expenses out of that and being able to track your expenses. Even something probably easier would be something like QuickBooks, Xero, or Truebill would be great softwares to use to be able to track things. We personally use Truebill to track most of our business expenditures. And then we have a bookkeeper as well who will give us our statements at the end of every month. And why this is important is you need to know how much you've collected every month in cash, and you need to know how much you've spent every month in cash. And then what I have here is I pulled up a calculator. We're going to use those numbers to figure out what can you afford to be paying yourself and how do you pay yourself as a business owner. So the very first thing you want to do, it's not in here, is you want to go, one rule of thumb that we do is we pay ourselves the month after the last month has ended. So let's say, for example, it's July 30th. You really want to pay yourself. We wait until the end of the month to pay ourselves. Now, you could do this in theory, pick any day of the month. You just want to be consistent. So if it's the 15th of every month, then you just need to wait till the 15th of the month passes, and then you can pay yourself for the last 30 days that happened before that. And why we do this is it teaches discipline. So that way we know that we can't just pull from our business bank account whenever we want to. It's one of the biggest problems we see small business owners struggle with, even up to 5 million a year, just pulling cash out of the business to pay themselves rather than having a structure and a strategy. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. Before you go and pay yourself, you want to go and figure out how much money did I collect over the last month? How much money did I spend over the last month? And it doesn't mean how much total in sales did we make? You might have made in total, I don't know, let's say $30,000 of sales, but you only collected 10 of that. Maybe the rest of the 20 is on payment plans that are extended out. You want to look at cash collected, and then you want to know cash spent. So once you have those two numbers, you can pause this video if you want, go find those two numbers, and we're going to bring them back in here. Once you have those numbers, so your revenue and you have your expenses, we use a calculator like this, and I'm going to plug this in, and we're going to say, let's just say you did $20,000 of revenue, and let's say you spent $10,000 in expenses. You can go ahead and plug in any numbers. If you want a link to this calculator, I'm going to have it in the description. You can find the link to the calculator to use this yourself. Now we do monthly revenue and expenses, usually for an average, but you can plug in specific numbers if you want to. And then we do something unique or not unique. We have a formula that we follow. This is not financial advice. This is just how we pay ourselves as business owners. And so what we do is we take 30% of our gross profit from the month before, and we set that aside for taxes. So if you look at the difference here, 20,000 in revenue minus 10,000 in expenses, we made $10,000 in profit. And then 30% of that, before we pay ourselves, before we touch that money, we set aside for taxes. Ideally, for us, we set it into its own business savings account, and we do not touch it. We follow this process every single month. And at the end of every 3 months, that's a quarter, we pull that money out and we pay our quarterly taxes. Now, every tax situation is unique, depending on how your structure is, whether you're an LLC, if you're an S Corp or C Corp. For the sake of this, though, one really simple process you can use is just think 30% of profit and set that aside for taxes. It's usually on the conservative side. So you usually will never have to owe more at the end of the year if you set that aside. Then the next thing is you want to look at, can you afford to save in your business? And we really recommend for as many owners as possible that you start saving away, not having business reserves, meaning not having saved up money in your business. Whether you have a bad month, you need to grow, you want to hire, you need training, you need to buy new equipment. Having reserves in place puts so much of your mind at ease rather than always looking to put things on credit or overextending yourself, right? And so we just think through that. So for us, we set, let's just say an example of 5% of our revenue. We want to be able to set aside for savings, and you might even change this to profit. So sometimes we do revenue, sometimes you can take a percent of profit. In this case, let's just say we want to do 5%. I want to be able to put 5% away. Well, 5% of $20,000 is going to be $1,000 in savings that we'd be setting aside at the end of the month. And this might not be every month. It's going to fluctuate, right, depending on your revenue. But once we've done that, we now know, hey, we know how much we profited, so $10,000. We know how much we need to set aside for taxes, $3,000. And I know that I should be putting, if I want to put 5% away to start building a growth fund, then that would be $1,000. If we look at what's left, so 10,000 minus 3,000 minus 1,000 is $6,000 that I have left that I could use to pay myself. I don't really have to worry about, am I going to have enough to pay my taxes? And am I putting some away for savings? Obviously, when we work with individuals and individual companies, we go far more into depth and more nuanced on this. But I was doing some YouTube research and I was seeing that how much should I pay myself out of my business kept popping up. And rather than just setting an arbitrary salary, we look at the numbers here. And this is going to be perfect for this calculator is really helpful for when you do not have consistent, predictable revenue. If you don't have monthly recurring revenue at a place where you can set a consistent salary, if you're like, hey, I bring in $40,000 one month and then $2,000 the next month, it's really hard to set a salary unless you're building reserves, which we highly recommend. So this is one simple way that you can think through how to pay yourself as an owner and figuring out how much can you be paying yourself out of your business. So hopefully this is helpful. If you're really enjoying this, we talk about business finances every single week. If you feel like this is beneficial for you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, click the notifications bell, and you're going to get our content every single week coming to you on how to improve your business finances, level up your IQ, ultimately become more profitable. So I hope this helps. Again, I'll have the link to the calculator in the description below, and just drop a comment, bookkeeper, if you're doing over 10K a month and need help finding a bookkeeper. Take care, and we'll see you guys on the next video.